Hello and welcome back to Talkin Pitch Side. I am your host PJ with my co-host Tony, as always, here to recap everything that went on in week 5 of the MLS. We're already 5 weeks in. We're starting to learn some things. And Tony and I were on site, FC Cincinnati game this week. 86 degrees in Cincinnati on Sunday. Our skin felt that one. We were right in the sun the whole game. Got to watch an amazing game. We'll get to that later, but Tony, how's skin feeling? You got a little red on there?
It's a lot of red, and also combine that with the new dog who loves just kind of like pawing around
Mm.
and stuff. I've not screamed in as much pain like in the last I don't know year as I have in the last 24 hours just with him doing all this stuff, and I'm quite fair everywhere. Um, yeah, we and believe it or not, didn't do any traveling, didn't go to Florida, nothing, and had to wear a heavy coat to work the next day
Yeah, I was about to say. And
in
then
our
it was
30 degree,
30
yeah,
degrees the next morning. So that
after
is,
hail overnight.
yeah.
So
If you want to know
uh,
what Cincinnati, Ohio is, that is
that's
that is
it.
it right there.
That's captured in
86 to
24
38.
hours. Yep. Yep. I'm wearing a
So,
hoodie right now. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. I've got my space heater on right next to me.
I was
Uh
sweating yesterday. Yeah.
yeah. So, MLS Week 5, we're going to get into Team USA for probably the next 3 to 4 episodes. So, bear with us. We'll get there. They're starting to report to camp, which is exciting. I love seeing those images. It's starting to feel real. That we're getting close to the World Cup here, so it's getting exciting. But we're going to go all MLS this episode, talk about all the matchups. Same deal. We're going to hit the higher end ones, cruise through some of the smaller games, and then we will, of course, do our power rankings at the end. So let's get into it, Tony. We've got a lot of games to cover, a lot of great games to cover. There's a lot of upsets this week, high scoring games again. And we're going to get started with one that was pretty dramatic at the end. Toronto at home versus Columbus, the early game on Saturday. Columbus goes up super early with Abu Ali goal, and then Toronto storms back, gets the 2-1 victory. Zimmerman gets the goal to cap off his new signing. That the defense has looked better for Toronto as of late. It's improving. We were worried at the beginning of the season. That's turning a little bit, and they get a big win at home, and it's starting to look pretty rough here early on for Columbus.
I don't get it. Honestly, from Columbus, it's one of the more shocking things. This and Philly being winless, I think, are the two things that just kind of have you stunned. But this Toronto game, I mean, Columbus held a lot of possession, but they didn't move forward with it much. Toronto, for what they had, I mean, they played a really high line, and Columbus played a really deep line compared to average on the only 5 games we played this season. But it's just very peculiar how Columbus is trying to build things out, and I think we're at a point where maybe Rydstrom is not as similar to Nancy as we think. I just think there's a lot of ideas that are going to take a little bit longer in Columbus to really settle in, and that's the tough part with them. And they're just at a point with this roster where I think they've made all these different just subs basically. Like Abu Ali is not Cucho, kind of thing, and it's all gotten like 2% worse, and that's all it takes when each position is like that. And you also talk about, I mean, they're swinging and missing. Gazdag didn't play in this one. Like 5 guys came off the bench for the crew, and Gazdag was not selected. That's your DP. Like you're playing with a hand tied behind your back from the get go with that. So this one I think is more about Columbus to me than it is Toronto. Though I think it has to be said is starting to roll a little bit, and we're not going to be worried. This is post Italians at Toronto. This is post worrying about them being wooden spoon Toronto, and I think this is now a Toronto where we're like, hey, are they going to be in the playoffs? Hey, are they going to? No, I was going to say, are they going to host a game in the playoffs? I doubt that. But I think that, I mean, they could sneak into that bottom half playoff side.
Yeah, it's they're looking more like what we thought they were going to look like before the season started. I think we were all pretty high on them in terms of making a little bit of noise, and they're starting to show signs of that. Josh Sargent, you got to assume, is going to slowly work his way more into the squad, look better working with Mihailovic, and that all start to gel. That's going to take a little time. So that's why we wanted the defense to look better, and we were worried if it's not looking good, you're not really giving that attack time to gel. So good for them to get a couple of good string of games here and get a win at home. You need to win those games, and I did see it's one of the worst starts in Columbus Crew franchise history. I mean, 2 points in 5 games, and I think you got to tell yourself you got to be patient with a new coach,
Hmm.
and these things are natural. I think similar to FC Cincinnati's fan base a little bit, you're going to start hearing some groaning and moaning if this continues. So we'll see how that goes for Columbus here going forward. Continuing to another team that is moaning and groaning, that is the Philadelphia Union. They lose at home to Chicago, 2-1. Kuipers gets the game-winning goal in this one, and pretty dominant effort by Chicago. I think we've been looking for an offensive attack like this from them, and for them to do it on the road was impressive, in my opinion. To have the amount of chances that they did, and that defense still hold strong on the road, it's a home league. We talk about all the time. So if you can get points on the road, especially all three,
Yeah,
you're going to find success, and especially against a team like Philly right now who's really struggling, and it's not getting any better.
it's not, and uh, I don't know what to make of any of this. I think like Kevin Sullivan is like something you got to rally behind, and they just haven't really done that. Like I think a lot of people in general would just advertise the idea of if you're gonna suck, suck with your kids. At least get the kids minutes and do it that way. Get them experience, make something out of this. Especially as Philly, who is a selling team. Like, I mean, I guess Cavan's already sold, so maybe that's part of the reason why. But those kind of things, I don't understand why Philly's doing this. Um, they're struggling big time. This 2-1 score line is lying to you. Chicago could have easily had, I mean, probably two more. And this could have been a real throttling on the road for Philly to lose five straight games.
Mm-hmm.
That's the really troublesome part is like this is a Chicago team that could. I mean, other teams in this league would punish you worse for the way that Philly played at home. And like Chicago had three great opportunities, like plus zero point 0.4 xG, and only made one of those. So like it's not like they were just making it rain. It was like no, they were getting in really good spots and just were not finishing. So this is not looking good for Philly. And again, narrative pushing, overreaction Monday. Like this is about Philly. This is not about Chicago. Don't buy any Chicago stock. Sell your Philly stock right now because it's looking really bleak there. And I don't think there's an obvious answer or like injury or anything. I mean, like
Yeah.
Quinn Sullivan's gonna help, but like it doesn't really feel like help's coming,
Mm-hmm.
And that's the scary part with Philly is they got rid of everybody, and who you're left with is not getting it done.
Yeah, it's bleak. I don't know. It's I think we're looking at one of what's going to go down as one of the all-time MLS one season turnarounds in the negative
Yep.
way,
Shout out
and to go
25 LA
from
Galaxy.
yeah,
Yeah.
but they weren't even like supporter shield like points getters. Like that's what I'm talking about. I think
Yeah.
the separation of regular season points you're going to see
Oh
between
yeah,
these
for
two
sure.
years could be one of the highest you may ever see. It's going to be it could be that bad. Now it's a long season. We're 5 games in. They can become a more competitive team, but I mean I don't think anyone sees them being anywhere close to where they were last year. So that already, even if they are an okay team the rest of the way, that gap's already going to be huge. Now if they continue the form they're on now, we could be looking at historic numbers. So
Hmm.
they'll be looking to bounce back next week, and I think Chicago needed this one too. I think they
Yeah.
needed to get a win here, and it was a big win. And you've got to beat these teams. We talk about all the time. You got to beat the teams that are struggling, and they did just that. Moving on here, we have the beat that I guess one of the two beat downs of the week in terms of scoreline. Nashville 5-0 against Orlando. This game never never was close. Sam
Yeah.
Surridge just did whatever he wanted up front. He had a hat trick in this one. Orlando, this is just continuation, and we're going to use this as a double segment because I think first let's give Nashville its praise. This is what we expect from Nashville at this point. This three-headed monster is for real. They are taking down teams like Miami now. They're dismantling teams they should beat, and I think they're going to go down as probably, if they continue this form, as one of the better offensive attacks we've ever seen in this league for a season with that three-headed trio. And let's do spin zone here, Tony. It's spin zone time for
Okay.
Orlando. You lost 5-0. You don't have a coach. We got Antoine Griezmann. We got Antoine Griezmann. We got him. We got him. They pull off the transfer when everyone thought it was dead. It just came back from the grave randomly on Sunday afternoon. So that's good news. They get what is going to be one of the better players in the league to join their team. Now, if we want to be a little pessimistic here, you couldn't be joining at a worse time.
Right.
You have no stability around him. You have no coach, nothing in that way. You've got at this point. I mean, you never just say no to a transfer like that. Like you, no matter if you have a coach or not. I've got to imagine he's gonna have some input, maybe of like who this coach is gonna be and how he wants to play at this point. So, I think you could spin zone and say, hey, let's just get a coach in here. Let's get Antoine Griezmann here. Can he play center back, Tony? Because that's what they need right now. So
Neither
he
can
may only
Iago.
lose 5-3
Yeah.
now in the games going forward. But no, I think let's be excited for a second. Great for the league. We talked about it in the first time we thought it was going to happen. This guy coming before the World Cup is great for the league in marketing
Hmm.
because he is a World Cup performer, has put together one of the most dominant World Cup campaigns we've ever seen. And I think that was 2018, I think that was for France. And him and that
Hmm.
was young Mbappe with him too. So that was like the year he was scoring a bunch of goals. Mbappe was coming on the scene.
Yep.
He was awesome in that campaign for France. He may make the French team this World Cup go around, which I think would be amazing if he did. I think that'd be great for the league in terms of marketing with some of these other stars that we have right now. So I think from a league point of view, it's great to get a guy like this in. I think from an Orlando point of view, it's trying to put a band-aid on a bullet wound right now. And I think I don't see this fixing their season as of right now. I think they're just hoping maybe to get a couple guys healthy, look okay in defense, and then get this jolt of life that he could bring. And it's exciting. I mean, for me, they're must-watch TV going forward.
Yeah, I mean, the hope with Griezmann coming in, first of all, I mean, I put this in our text chat, but I was like, I won't believe it till I see it, just because we've seen so much go on and then off recently. And so, like, I just
Ricardo
have a
Pepi.
hard time trusting anything. But I think the hope is when you plug in Griezmann, a couple things. One, you mentioned it with the coach search thing. Maybe not so much he's got choice over the coach, but I think that from a potential coach's perspective, you look at that and say, hey, this is an ambitious club. You know, they went and got Anton Griezmann. Like,
I
I think
want.
that makes, yeah.
I want it to be. I want it to be Wilfred Nazi so bad. You have no
Oh,
idea
that'd
how
be
I want
insane.
that.
That'd be
It would be
insane.
awesome.
Oh
It
my
would be
gosh.
awesome.
There's no way he's coming to MLS though.
No, but
Uh,
I think it'd be he'd be they'd be really good if
but
they
Eric
got him in there.
Ramsey's free. Eric Ramsey's on the market.
Oh, don't do that. Don't bring that back to this league. I don't
That'd
want to
be
watch that
crazy.
five back.
Or yeah, an Anton Griezmann team that parked the bus like that would be crazy.
They just like
Uh,
go score for us.
yeah,
Go, you
yeah.
can do it.
1v, yeah, 9. Go, good luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the hope on the field is when you plug in Griezmann here, what that does at least earn you is a little bit more respect from teams and build up,
Hmm.
knowing that, like, hey, like, we can't just go stomp on Orlando right now because, you know, if we all go up, now they have a real threat coming back. Not to throw shade at Duncan McGuire, but it hasn't really shaped out like that in this sense. But, you know, you combine that with Paslich is known to hit a banger and pretty good, you know, finding those pockets of space. And Gulo also causes problems. So you and Martin Ojeda, like
Ojeda, yeah.
you don't have a bad attack. And so if you can establish that, hey, we got to respect the attack, then I think that takes a little bit of the pressure point off of the lack of center backs at Orlando right
Totally.
now. And part of that also gets fixed too when Robin Johnson returns from his injury, which I think will probably be before the World Cup, is what it sounds like, but up in the air. So that's a hope. That's what you're looking for if you're Orlando, but that's still down the road. That's summer.
Hmm.
That's like end of summer. That's like August. So that's what you hold on to if you're Orlando. If you're Nashville, though, I mean, this is routine, and I'm impressed by Nashville because normally we have only seen the score line so far this year if there's been a red card involved, and there has not been this time. They did this 11v11,
You could argue Orlando's playing with 10 men with those center backs, though, to be fair.
and that goalkeeper, but um, I digress. I mean, it looked really impressive. I mean, Espinoza just hit the ground running there. You always have a little bit of that wonder anytime like a new player joins a team. Like sometimes you just see that stuff, and like that player just does not look the same. But that's just not what Espinoza is. Like Espinoza has been exactly where we left him in
Yeah,
San Jose.
yeah. It goes back to we ask for it all the time with our own teams, with other teams in the league. Like if you just don't be just go for the MLS proven guy at times. Like just
Yeah,
take the guy you know knows how to perform in this league, establish himself in this league, and get on the score sheet in this league. And that's exactly what he was on a bad San Jose team. And it was like, oh wait, Nashville was like, wait, we can surround him with a bunch of talent around him on the
yeah,
attack. Like, yeah, this is a no brainer. Like, this is it's going exactly how we all thought because he was a surefire type of guy to plug into this lineup. So you got to give him
correct.
credit. It's
Yeah,
might go down as one of the best signings in recent history, just in terms of like what one guy can do. Not necessarily as the best player on the team, but to elevate the rest of the team because of what he offers for the rest of that attack.
definitely one of the best free agent signings, and we're not going to see like stuff like that again because the only reason he was a free agent was a
Oh,
clerical error. So like,
the story just gets it keeps getting brought up too. That's the worst part. Like as a San Jose
yeah,
fan, you've just got to be like, stop
right. You're
bringing it up.
just
Like
like
every
that
broadcast I
guy's
listen
yeah,
to, every podcast, it's like you wouldn't believe how this even happened in the first place. It's like no,
yeah,
I would believe it
exactly.
because I've heard it 45 times
San
now, and
Jose
if
is
I was a
like
San
yeah,
Jose fan, I would really be sick to my stomach.
it
So
it sank all the way in, and the poor guy whoever forgot to do that. I mean, they don't
he
live
does not.
in San
If he has
Jose
a job
anymore.
right now, I'm impressed.
They don't live there anymore. I can tell you that. But the other great thing about this one was Surge hat trick on bobblehead night for Sam
Yes.
Surge. It was written in the stars. It just had to be. But no, you got everybody that you need to be going. Andy Nahar got an assist on this one. We're gonna never say his name because there's way more names on this Nashville team to talk about. But I mean, he's a big proponent to making this offense move, to making this build up move. The Nahar Espinoza combo play on that right side, just gets Nashville down to the other team's half and just starts
Yeah.
whittling at him. It's so good. So this
And
is a really really good Nashville team.
quietly, that defense has been performing very well. And
Yes.
they showed it against Miami in 2 games. They've now shown it against some other teams in the MLS. And I think everyone was feared Walker Zimmerman leaving, and it's not really had much of a drop off. And it's impressive. So shout out BJ Callahan as well because he just continues to show why he maybe should have been the coach of Team
Mm.
USA when
Well, he was.
when Greg let's bring him back.
Yeah,
By the
and
way,
he was
quick side.
winning with
You see
USA.
that Jesse Marsh story that came out?
Oh
We'll
yeah,
talk
that
about it.
he.
I'm going to talk about it on
Yeah.
Friday's podcast.
Okay.
Insane story. We're going to
Little
have to get into
teaser
that a
there.
little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, continuing on here. This was a game in MLS history, Tony. Atlanta at home versus DC. This game happened, as you may not have known it, but this was a 0-0 draw in Atlanta. Neither team really had a fantastic chance in this one either. It was a game played in the midfield. I'll just go hand up. Did not watch much of this one, and I'm not mad about it. So I feel bad. I don't have a ton of context to go off of in this one. Seems like from the stats, it looks like Atlanta probably could have been the team that could have gotten something out of this. But at home, you've got to perform better than that to get something out of it. My Latte Loft 2 games in a row prediction is dead, and
Oof. Should have
I
known.
don't know. This like feels like where these two teams like belong. Like it was like there should this is where what should happen in a game like this.
Yeah, they're pretty even. So you say that Atlanta should have won that, and I think like I mean 70% possession would show that. DC United had 4 shots and 2 of them hit the post. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a tough rip too. I mean, they were very, very close to walking away, like just total smash and grab with 3 points. That
Mm-hmm.
I mean, honestly, for this team on the road anywhere, it probably doesn't seem like they deserve that. But it it was for the most part incredibly boring, and in the midfield, the two teams generated like zero point 0.4 xG combined. So there wasn't a lot happening there, but this was really close to teetering either way, I guess is what I'll put.
Yeah,
Atlanta also
I
forced some
think it's
good
a
saves
fair
too.
shared
Yeah,
point. I don't think either team fully
correct.
deserved it. So makes sense that this one ends in this result. And I think the
And
only
yeah,
team's coming out maybe with some optimism is DC saying you got a point on the road. and that's about all these teams are really getting out of that one. Okay, let's move on. I don't want to
Yeah,
spend too much
please.
time on the game. Sorry,
Please
Atlanta
move on.
DCU fans. Uh, Another one of the other beatdowns of the week. We had Charlotte beating Red Bulls 6-1. Charlotte's looked good as of late, past couple games now, and you also have Red Bulls on a downward trend. And this is the true point early on that you're getting some resistance to what you're trying to do in terms of Michael Bradley and what he's trying to do with that team. It is not great as of late. They went down 2-0 even before the red card that led to the goal, and that game ended 6-1. Hall got a goal late that made it look a little bit better. But really dominant performance. Charlotte's looked really good at home this season, and that's kind of what we expect from them. They have made that place into a fortress a bit, and I don't know. I think I was really high in Red Bulls early. We all loved the kids doing what they were doing, but I think you're now seeing kind of the stumbling blocks you can run into when you're rolling out a
Hmm.
bunch of 17 to 21-year-olds. Is you're going against a bunch of professionals and men that know how to win in this league, and you're going to have moments like this. So I think for these two teams, I wouldn't buy too high on Charlotte in this game, and I wouldn't totally sell on Red Bulls. I just think this is naturally what you're going to see with a young team. I just think you're going to see moments like this and a young coach. And then Charlotte, I think, took advantage of that today. And I mean, Charlotte will be one of those top six teams in the East, and they will look like this some weeks, and they'll look okay another week. I just think this is about what I expect from these two teams.
Yeah, I'd say that this one was definitely a. I mean, Charlotte was dominating this game before the red card
Mm-hmm.
too. I don't want that to. I mean, not 6-1 dominating, but like 2 or 3-0 dominating. And that's easily where this could have course corrected, and the red card just made it all worse. But to your point, like, and I think I've said this before, is that like the kid thing is really fun, but the dice roll on it every time,
Mm-hmm.
it can provide some really big risks. And this was a game that honestly, like, I mean, as not as a professional athlete, I'm saying this. I get it, laying over like this and just quitting, because that's kind of what happened here. Um, it I don't know how much of that like is the kid's fault versus maybe a quiet leadership's fault, whatever it is. That's the problem with at least this game, and it seems like it's sort of becoming now the rut of the last few games with the Red Bulls. There's still parts of it I don't understand. I don't understand benching Chupamoting and not playing him at all. I'm sure that like once he's on the bench and it's the 60th minute and you turn around and say who can we put in, you're not going to risk him when you're already down 4-0 in a man. But it's those kind of things where I'm going to trust the process because it's a Bradley, but it's kind of confusing and not really making sense at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Totally. I think I don't know. I think what I'm seeing early on is I think I was pleasantly surprised with what Choupo-Moting did last year. I think I was one person when he got the transfer. I was not a huge fan of the move. It didn't really make sense to me. And then I was like, okay, I see how he could fit in. I don't I don't see how he's gonna long term fit into what Michael Bradley's doing at Red Bulls. I think that's gonna be a transfer you may see at some point at the end of this year that he moves on. But and the thing is, I do see it with Forsberg. Like I see how he fits
Hmm.
this team. I just think it's a Choupo-Moting thing for me at this point, especially the way Hall's looked. Like I'd just rather play him and see what you've got from a full season. And I don't know. I think it's going to be very up and down this season. And quick shout out to Charlotte. Sometimes those blowouts you see one guy score a ton of goals. Everyone got the love in that game. That was
Yeah,
a team
right.
effort goal scoring wise, and you've got to be feeling good this week as a Charlotte fan.
And one thing here, real quick, to build on the Red Bulls comment, just to drive the nail in, I guess. But like you say, I don't know what Chupamoting would do, but like they became incredibly winger dependent this year. Like K Cal and Ruvakalba, like in this passing network, I mean, they are all the way up. And Julian Hall is deeper than center defensive mids that were playing in this game. Like he was coming back. And that's the thing where it's like, okay, Chupamoting's the perfect target guy. Like if you're gonna send your wingers up, like start spraying in those crosses. But that just like there's that gap right now. I'm not trying to throw
Yeah,
Julian Hall hate, but it
no, I
seems
get
like
it.
that's
I
not
mean,
the
I also think those
mo.
stats in this game may have been a little skewed because you're playing down a man
That's
the whole
fair.
game. So I think you're gonna naturally play deep, probably playing a lot more defensive. So I don't really blame him for that. I just think when he's on the field and those wingers are going, there's a more fluidity to it where they're kind of cutting in off each other as well. He's athletic enough to get out there. With Choupo-Moting, like he's going to be in that middle of that pitch. He's going to be in the front in the box, which if the wingers are going good that day can work really well. I just think Cade Cowell is a winger, yes. I think Cade Cowell likes to get into the box and like in a central way every once in a while. So I think Julian Hall works better in that to kind of go in and out with him. So I don't know. There's going to be these ups and downs with this team. I feel like they're going to be the team all year. They're going to be like Red Bulls. I mean, FC Cincinnati is playing Red Bulls here soon. I'm like, yeah, I feel good about playing Red Bulls now, but I can also see a world where it's like the kids play really good for a game. They're
Yeah,
more
right.
athletic, and you get smacked in the face. So I just think that's going to be their mo this year. So we'll keep tabs on that one. Moving on here, Dallas at home against Houston. Game I called Houston a win. I thought I was feeling really good about it, Tony, for a little bit
Mm,
there. They go down 2-0 against Dallas, respond with 3 goals in 4 minutes in the 30th minute range. They then allow, then they then get a red card in the 68th minute, and then they score. No, it was an own goal equalizer first, I think, right? It was the
yes.
own
Yeah.
goal to make it 3-3, then a red card, and then Musa does what Musa does, scores late, gets the win for Dallas at home. Um, Super disappointing if you're a Houston Dynamo player right now because I think they felt like that game was theirs and they played really well, and the red card really killed them in the last 20 minutes there. Like the momentum just completely shifted once that happened, and it was all on Dallas to get the game winner at that point. I think that these two teams are going to be a ton of fun to watch this year. It's kind of what I got out of this game. Like these two teams have been a little bit lower in the Western Conference for a while now, and I watch them play, and I actually feel this way about a lot of Western Conference teams right now. Any given night, these two teams could punch someone in the nose and win a
Yeah.
game. And in this game, they just punch each other in the nose back and forth. And I think I wouldn't come out of this game feeling like horrible from either side. I think Houston's going to feel horrible because they didn't come out with any points in a game I thought they played pretty well in on the road. But I mean, Musa just continues to rock and roll, Tony, and I think it's impressive what Dallas has done early on this season. And I think, like I said, we're going to see both these teams in the playoffs at the end of the year, and I think they're not going to be great matchups for some of these top seeds that they're going to be playing in that first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that like I kind of view this game like I thought both teams had, I mean, amazing moments. And this is one of the best games of the weekend, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But that weird 5 minute switch off from FC Dallas is what made this game look as close as it did. Otherwise, it would have been all Dallas. And this was at a moment, too, where Musa didn't start this game. Supposedly, he had picked up a knock, wasn't able to play the full 90. So Logan Farrington, who's normally, Peter Moose's, Robin to his Batman, steps up and
Mm-hmm.
just wears it, man. And like, that's what it's so funny that we have just barely seen those two play together or like operate together because it's like if those two are both, clicking like this at the same time, I mean, this is
Just
going to be
throw
a
him a cam.
crazy. Yeah. This
Just
is,
do it. I don't even know why you win at this point. Just try it.
yeah. Well, and I think there's just kind of been missing injury stuff too. So they just kind of have missed each other, but they could be so good. I thought this was a really, really good game from this Dallas team. And, if you eliminate, if this was an 85-minute game and you just carved out that weird 5 minute span, I mean, this could have been even worse. Like, that Dallas looked so, so good. And this is coming from a team that didn't get their Lucho replacement. You know, are making do of what they have in goal, are making do of what they have at center back. Like, it's really impressive. But for Houston, I think that I don't want to downplay that they look bad. I just think Dallas looked amazing,
Yeah.
and Guilherme has been fantastic since coming. He gets 2 assists and a goal in this game, and we have not even mentioned Bogusz, in this game. Like, imagine if the last piece is clicking. I don't think he had a great game here. Um, then there's real opportunities for this Houston team, and like, to your point, like that they could punch anybody in the mouth. So this was a really fun game. Caught me surprised by how good it got, but I think it does put a lot of people on watch. That like, hey, like Texas soccer is serious again.
Yeah,
Western Conference is serious again. That's definitely something I'm going to keep an eye on now.
totally. It was a fun game. They're on, both these teams are on the up, and I think it's exciting because it's been a little bit down for a little bit now in the past couple of years, and I think it's more fun when these teams are involved and busy in the Western Conference. So good to have them back. Moving on here, we have Colorado on the road against Sporting Kansas City, getting a big win. I said this over in person, actually. I declared this the Paxton Aronson coming out party for Colorado. Gets a brace in this one. A quick shout out as well. I mean, everyone talks about Navarro up front, of course, naturally, because he's just been the guy there. The job Darren Yappi's doing for this team right now is really impressive for a young guy. And he didn't score this one, but he did assist a goal in this one, and he's been on the score sheet a few times now. And to have a guy on like his payroll producing what he's doing for this team at this point to go along with some of these other pieces is just um, really working for this team. We saw it at the end of last year. It's now continued early on this year, and I think Colorado's just gonna be one of those teams. Like I keep saying it, but the way that Matt Wells wants them to play is just go. We want you to get up and score, and if they catch you on the wrong night, like they're gonna be able to score goals on you. Now that defense, I'm still not feeling great about,
Mm-hmm.
but today against a team like Sporting Kansas City, you don't need it to be great. Like if you can do enough offensively, you're going to take advantage of this Kansas City side, and that's what would happen. Um, a lot of road victories this week, so shout out the road teams getting some points on the road, and Colorado bouncing back and looking like that offense that we are now can maybe expect here and there. So I think it's very different from last year, and I think you're starting to see Matt Wells kind of start to sprinkle his dust on his team, what they want him to look like, and I think it's an exciting brand of football if you're a Colorado fan.
I think from a league perspective, you have to look at the calendar and say away at Sporting Kansas City needs to be a win. And well, any time against Sporting Kansas City, but even out on the road, despite being a home truther, there's some
Mm-hmm.
teams that can be the exception to that, and that's certainly Sporting Kansas City. And to that point, I mean, Colorado, just executed that perfectly. I mean, we've seen San Diego walk into the same stadium and only do 1-0, and that's it. So Colorado did a really good job of, not just winning big, but just controlling this game from the get go. Totally dismantled Sporting Kansas City and how they were playing. Another team here, they had 5 great opportunities and scored 3 of those. And then their other one they scored was one of their 2 good opportunities. So, like, they got 17 shots, 14 of those on target, and half of those were, like, over, like,
That's
0.25
efficiency, man.
XG. Yes, yes.
14 on
So,
14,
like,
17 on target is crazy. That is like
correct.
the goalie's in hell.
Yeah, so what they were doing, I mean, like they were doing exactly what they wanted. They got where they wanted. They got the shots they wanted, and landed a lot of those, including Paxton Aronson. Man, Colorado needs to see him become himself like this more, and continue growing like this because that's kind of the ride or die with the way that this Colorado team's built. The crack in the armor, honestly, like that defense, like you said, I was really unimpressed with Zach Steffen on this goal from Sporting Kansas City. Gets beat near
Good to see
post.
him back. Good to see him
It's
back.
good to see him back. And outside of that, I mean, he made like 3 other saves, I think, or 4 saves. So I mean, he's
Yeah, I
he's getting
mean,
a little bit of
his
movement, but
first game, right? This was his first game, I think.
I might have been. I've not kept track if he
I
came
think it
back
might have
earlier,
been.
but yeah, and maybe that's why a little bit rusty. Gave just enough space for Shapi Sulamanov to sneak one in the near post there, but that's cracking the armor. That's the same team that I think we'll watch drop points at home sometimes and be like, "What they just did this last week? How is this turned around so much?" And I think it's because of that. we'll
They
see.
they
But
also just played NYCFC, who have been awesome. So
right,
I will
right.
maybe cut them a little slack in that department.
We'll see.
I mean, on NYCFC on the road. I mean, they're up there in the East
They
right now.
lost to Miami. They can't be that good.
Oh, we're gonna get to that. By the way, we're getting to that one.
Yeah.
There's a call in that game that was
Yes, there
ridiculous.
is. Yes, there
Um,
is.
okay, well, let's continue on here. St. Louis at home versus New England. I don't think we need to spend a bunch of time on this one. New England. I mean, I think I'm gonna look back as an FC Cincinnati fan and be sick to my stomach of seeing the scoreline of that one game. But they pretty they. I mean, they had their chances. St. Louis converted their chances that they had better than New England. I guess that's just the one way of putting it.
The other two St. Louis goals were off of really, easy tap in opportunities, or just maybe not tap in, but just very finishable opportunities. And the rest of it was pretty spread out, not close to net, you know, throwing up a prayer type shots. And, a lot of that was met at the rim or it got blocked or whatever. So I don't think that St. Louis necessarily looked as impressive as the score line relies. At the same time, I mean, New England also missed their one huge opportunity. And, that's a Roman Berkey special. But, this game could have easily been a tie, in my opinion. It sounds crazy to say that with 3-1 on the screen right now. But to me, I think this was a lot more level-headed, and this is kind of the edge you get when you're at home, and playing for something a little extra.
Yeah, totally. Shout out St. Louis. Got the job done at home.
Shout out.
We're gonna move transition to Austin at home against LAFC. Game shockingly ended 0-0 in this one.
Yeah.
Um, LAC still haven't allowed a goal this season, which is pretty crazy. And their score line keeps going down. I think each week I said talked about it. It was 4-0, 3-0, 2-0, 1-0, 0-0. So they just have steadily declined offensively. They get a point on the road though. They're this team's weird. I love LAFC, but I just don't know what they are, what their identity is. I feel like it changes all the time, and they say they want to be on the front foot, but then they don't act like it, and they play on the counterattack and don't keep possession. And I think that's just more where they're comfortable. So it will be interesting to see how they counter that throughout the year, and if they do want to be more on the front foot and what that looks like. Austin had a ton of possession this game, had their chances. LAFC probably had more of the better chances on the counterattack in this one, and I mean, not really much to go off of in this one. Besides, I think both teams are going to be disappointed they didn't get more points out of this.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a shout out both goalkeepers who both had some really good saves in this one and kept it a 0-0 draw. I think really the image of this game and the image of LAFC's season so far was Brendan Heinzike chasing down Youngman's son and tackling
Mm-hmm.
it like an amazing tackle, but at the same time, like it just feels a step slower from Son so far this season, which just it stings so much to say because like he is so fun when he's playing good, and things are going well. So that's the part that like Boanga went cold, Sun went cold. I will say Boanga traditionally starts season slow, so it
Mm-hmm.
was weird this year when he came right out the gates.
Yeah,
But
it
I
feels like. I mean, it just feels like
yeah.
they're like sleepwalking a little bit right now,
Hmm.
and they're playing multiple competitions. And I think that by the end of the year, we're going to be like, oh, this team's going, and we'll see how that looks. I mean, we also have the World Cup factor for guys on that team and Son
Yeah.
especially. So it will be interesting. I think it's a team I'm not really wavering in faith in. They may have like dropped a peg right now in my mind in terms of like how I view them in the MLS regular season right now. But at the same time, I'm like their defense is amazing. Like they
Yeah, their
don't
defense
they
is doing
don't
great.
allow goals. So it's really on the offense at this point just to score a goal or two, and they're going to win most of their games. So I think I think you come out of this one, you're just like they'll be fine. I'm not really overreacting, and if you're not getting much out of Sun Buanga, like you're not going to win, and that's what's happening right now. So I think that despite their slow starts, they still have yet to lose a game, and they've only dropped 2 points all season. So I think they're feeling good about their season so far. Austin is like broken record. Offensively, I don't know what's going to happen. And I think
Yeah.
that they're hoping when Vasquez comes back, it looks a little bit better. And I don't know if that's really going to change a whole lot. We'll see. And I think they need more from Facundo Torres, especially. I think this is a guy you brought in to be that kind of difference maker, and we've yet to see that so far this season. So um, we'll be looking for that. Hopefully it comes. And Austin fans, I hope for more goals in your future in home games. Let's move on to what was seen as probably the best game in the week, in my opinion. Vancouver at home against San Jose. I did this in the stadium, Tony. Hop on the train. Choo choo. Because you might be too late at this point. I've been on San Jose. I love my boys. And they get it done on the road. I'm shocked. I was shocked watching this. I was shocked seeing the scoreline. And especially the way the game was played. Because once again, Tony, the thing no one expected was San Jose's defense to be like this either. And they continue to do it. And they do it against one of the best offensive sides in the MLS so far this season. And Vancouver, who's been blitzing everybody. And it's a great early win for Bruce Arena and San Jose to kind of lift up and say, hey, we can be as good as these teams in the Western Conference. And I think it's impressive. I think you got to not take it too much to heart and be like, oh, this team could win everything. But I think you can say, like, this Bruce Arena thing is real at this point, and even with all the guys they missed, like, they're still getting production out of guys that you wouldn't expect on a weekly basis. And early on, I mean, you've got to be impressed with what San Jose is doing and what they're able to get out of this season, especially in this real first test. Like, this was the real first test for them after their hot start, and they passed on the road. Winning a road game is tough in this league, and doing it against Vancouver is even tougher.
This was maybe or probably the best game that Daniel has played in a San Jose shirt. I mean,
Oh yeah.
he single-handedly won this game. I know Bo LaRusse, screamer is what is the difference, but I mean, Daniel had a crazy amount of saves here. This one, I felt like the XG was lying a little bit. Like, Vancouver was at 0.98
Mm-hmm.
XG, but like I felt like they had way more better opportunities than that. And really, that was the difference. And honestly, that's like when you're an away team and you go into somebody else's house who's like Vancouver, who's better than you, established, has everything going for them. Like, you got to bunker down, survive what they throw at you, and then grab anything they give you back. And that was just an opportunistic shot from just a second chance on a corner. And that's all it took. So like San Jose executed that really well. This tiny asterisk on this one was Mueller and Berhalter did not start, kind of due to CONCACAF rotation
Mm-hmm.
stuff. They did come in the second half, so it's not that they were totally absent, but I think that it's worth mentioning at least.
Mm-hmm.
But San Jose is just year over year definitely a very improved team. And if this doesn't make you think that they're somewhat serious now, that they can at least defend a little bit now, then I don't know what to tell you, because this is a team where I firmly expect them to be in the playoffs. And crazy to say, I mean, probably top 5 in the Western Conference. They've
Yeah.
looked that good, and now to hold everything in place for that long, we'll see. That's going to be the big test for them.
Yeah.
But right now, they look very good.
Yeah, depth is definitely an issue. I think they don't have a ton of depth behind this starting lineup right now, and I think an injury or two might hurt this team. So I think being healthy is going to be really important for them. And they still have a DP slot open, so they can still improve this team in the summer. So I expect them to do that, and I think that's what's exciting about this project right now, is that they have the opportunity to do so. So we'll see. I think you may be sitting there listening and be like, okay, they've played well defensively. What's the big deal? This team was allowing 4 to 5 goals on the daily last year,
Yeah.
and this type of turnaround you don't see very often year over year. So that's what makes it super impressive. Let's go into the Sunday slate here, Tony. First of which, the game we were at, FC Cincinnati at home versus Montreal, and this game was a doozy. I think you would expect FCC to win this game. They did, but not in the way you thought because they were down three separate times in this game. They went down 1-0, 2-1, and 3-2. And that 3-2 spot is the really big, important part where Miles Robinson gets a red card off of a free kick, and Evan Laurel kind of parried it right back to the front of net, and Prince Owusu was right there to. Did I say? What did I just say?
Prince
Prince was
was
right there,
yeah,
and he Miles tackled him down on the ground. Questionable, but I mean, after watching it back, I mean, I get it. I do get it. And at that point, we were all looking at the stands, looking at each other like, this is not happening. Like, this is like nightmare
right.
type start for FC Cincinnati this season. You now have Miles Robinson a red card. You're going to lose this game because you go down 3-2 after Prince makes the goal. And it was it was an impressive turnaround from this team. And I think as an FCC fan, you can still be a little worried about what's going on right now. But I texted it and I said to the guys, like, you still have to enjoy games like this. Like, it's the MLS. Like,
Yeah.
teams still win any given week. And to see the determination of the team to go down a man and score two goals in the last 15 minutes to win this game was impressive. And you've got to give them credit on that. Like, going down a man and being on the front foot for the rest of the game. I know it's Montreal, and I would argue Montreal still has looked a little bit better than people think to start this year. And to also say, hey, like, to go get two goals down a man is hard to do, and they did it. And then they held on for their lives for about 10 minutes of at a time after that as well. So I got to give them credit. I think my hope as a FCC fan is that they build on this as a rallying cry a little bit to say, hey, we're not quitting. Like, we've got to turn this around. They know this isn't good enough, and they said it a ton in the interviews after the game. Like,
Mm.
they know they're still not there at all. But I still think it's important for them to get a win like that to kind of just build a little momentum here and build the locker room back together,
Yeah, I think it's important to leave a good taste in your mouth, just going into this international break,
especially after
playing
two
time.
years. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. And so you're not sitting in like all of that. And I think too, like a lot of these guys are going to international break. It's going to just be a total reset when they get back, I think. But in this game specifically, I think that fans rightfully feel still worried, even though this is like, I mean, I think that this is any other team in the league probably, and the FC Cincinnati doesn't win that game based
Mm-hmm.
on the opportunities. There was just too many just situations where Cincinnati gifted Montreal basically, and vice versa, to be honest, and that's what got them 4 goals was Montreal letting the ball bounce after a long throw. Also, by the way, should Nick Hagelin have an assist for that? I don't think he got given one, but I think he deserves one there.
Yeah, I mean, it took the deflection, so I think
Right.
it's a little unfair because it was a hell of a throw. They did a
I
long
know.
throw for that last goal.
Yeah.
He launched that
They
thing.
launched it. He's like, I guess, giving it all. And that's the impressive part still about this is that against any team in MLS, like you said, scoring 2 goals, down a man for the last 15 minutes, plus, I mean, the heat. Like, you heard me complaining already about my sunburn from the stands. Like, imagine, like,
You
going
saw it
at
on the
full.
players too. Guys were
Yes, yeah,
dead at the end of that game.
exactly. And so, yeah, I think they did a really they were resilient and made the most of what it was with the opportunity, and that's the important part. Ender Echenike, hero of the day,
Hmm.
goal and an assist, but we've got to see that out of him regularly, which feels like a tall order. But
Yeah,
at the same time, he's just missed that last little. Like he can beat the people, but he just the last ball delivery or the finish just had been missing so much, and so to see kind of both of that come together, at least in individual moments in this game, I think is very promising too.
yeah, it was interesting. I watched back some of the clips from the game too, and he did a lot of. I mean, he's a wingback. He did a lot of. He got his goal off the wingback roll. He drove the ball and hit it across net in the bottom corner, and
Hmm.
then his assist, which I want to point out, he did it quite a few times in the game where he drifted inside and
Yeah,
kind of played inside, and that's how he got his assist. He drove inside, dribbled, and drove in and fed Jabari for a nice goal by him. And I think that's the interesting part for me is I liked him in that inside role. Honestly, it was like someone like driving the ball forward, and I think that's where it was like a little like you got to look at the attacking mids of FCC and be like, where is this consistent? Like, why aren't
Yeah.
you like? I know they're not the same player, but look how if he just like you get the ball in midfield and you just go a little bit forward, like let's drive the ball a little bit. Like he was able to find space and create a chance. So I think that hopefully that fills something in that middle of the field void, even if it's him coming in every so often. I think it was interesting to see that dynamic in the team. So good win for FCC. I think they're a team who desperately needs this international break, but I think they have like 7 or 8 guys going on international duty
Yeah.
during international break. So
Ton of
a
guys.
lot of guys still playing during this break, which will be interesting. So um, should be fun to see how they bounce back after the break. And Montreal, I think super disappointing. I know it's like more what you expect from them, but I think that watching it live, you just thought they were going to win that game, and it was astounding to see them lose it. So let's get into the other big game. I guess one of the few big games that happened on Sunday as well. NYCFC losing at home to Miami 2-3 in a pretty disappointing result for them for a lot of reasons. They went up twice in this one and gave up the lead, or I guess went up once. So Miami scored. They took a 2-1 lead, and then Messi scores a free kick that was deflected, and Matt Freese probably should have done better on it. It was not a great effort by him in net on that one. And then the big moment, and this one a lot of people are pointing to, is Dane St. Clair and him grabbing that ball outside of the box because it looked like he grabbed it outside the box, Tony, and the players pointed to it immediately. Everyone was. It wasn't like one of those things where like no one really like noticed. It was like clear as day, and people pointed to it. And I don't. Was there even like an official review for it?
I I think it. I don't know if it got called or not for VAR, but I think they determined that it was
It
not
was
clear and
close. I'm not gonna
obvious.
act like it
Yeah.
wasn't like close, but I think you've got to lean towards there was. He probably was outside the box when he got it, and or the ball was. I guess technically the ball was outside the box. So it was. It was a tough one. I think NYCFC was frustrated. They pointed to it after the game, and they were not happy with the call with the refereeing in that game. And um, I don't know. I come out of this one. We expected Miami to win this because of just the situation they're in. They had to show something. Bertarame was benched in this one. He did not start in this one, which I think was a good move from Inter Miami. But um, you also see just like good fight from NYCFC. And I don't leave this game thinking anything less of them. If anything, they gained my respect even a little bit more with how they played in this one. And I think this easily could have gone their way as well. I just think, I mean, when you have Messi doing Messi things late in the game, it's hard to counter that. And then when you have the ref working against you a little bit in this one, it's tough to win as well. So just tough result because I think they deserved more than a 2-3 loss in this one.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks that you kind of do have to look at the whole lens of this game within that Dane St. Clair moment because the what ifs here just really spin off after that. Um, but prior to that moment, I mean, we had Messi smashing the post twice.
Yeah.
Um, like this could have gotten out of hand quickly, and maybe you don't even find yourself in that situation. So New York City, did hang in there. That Nico Fernandez free kick, I'd rather talk about that one this game because that one was super nice.
Oh yeah.
And we mentioned this yesterday when we were talking, but he's just been a dog this year. Like he's been so good for New York City, and he's really closed in the gap of the void that just Alonso Martinez leaves behind in his ACL injury. So that's been just huge for New York City. When it comes to the actual call, though, it looks like nearly certainly it should have been called, right? Should have been a red card for St. Clair. It was outside the box, all that. But it's nearly certainly is where I'm at with that, and I think that's kind of where the refs are at too. Where
Yeah.
they don't have the lines that they can draw on the screen. The angles, lens distortion, whatever.
Yeah, you're
You know,
playing in Yankee Stadium. You're not
correct,
getting good angles in that
exactly.
stadium.
Right, and I think that's kind of how they're trained to use VAR too. Right, is that like it's annoying sports terminology, but the clear and obvious thing, like you can't rely on a single camera angle to tell you yes or no on something like that. And I
Yeah,
know there's a couple of them, but at the same time, like he's jumping, he's in the air, and it's just not a straight on view. And so, like, was it probably yes? Can you confirm that, like scientifically? Not with those camera angles. So
yeah. And you
I
also don't
get
want to
why it wasn't
ruin a
called,
game
I
in that way
guess.
either. Like you don't want to
Right,
make the wrong call and send them off, and then the game's ruined that way. So
right,
I get
exactly.
it. I do. I also I see both sides. I see how NYCFC fans are waking up today a little annoyed with the result
Hmm.
because of that call, and I also see why the referees made the decision that they did. So it's a tough one. It's a hard pill to swallow, but I do think NYCFC is still going to be a really competitive team, and still impressive to me what they're doing without a true DP9 on this roster so far this season. So shout out Nico Fernandez because he's carrying this team right now. We talked about it in person.
Yeah.
He's playing out of his mind. So you got to be impressed with what he's doing. And Miami get all 3 points. So the beast is woken, as we said last episode. They're gonna be winning some games now. Not a game I don't want to spend too much time on. United Seattle. Seattle really dominated possession. This one just did not create a ton of great chances, and I don't know. This was a Minnesota game through and through. That's what this was. James Rodriguez looked cold again. That's my update from that one from the Minnesota side. So tough. I think Seattle's gonna be disappointed they're not getting more points against Minnesota, and I think this one is a game in MLS history.
It is. I think the talking point, James does come in, but late. I guess the
Mm-hmm.
quote from Eric Knowles was all pure, you know, coaching decision and had nothing to do with injury there. And the irony of that too was he came on and pretty quick slotted a nice through ball into it's escaping me who ended up on the other side of that one. It might have been Longwane, but or no, it was Markinich. That's who it was. And Markinich skies his shot, and it was going to be a real good opportunity to go ahead over Seattle in the dying moments of this game. But hey, something to watch. He made one pass, not saying he's going to be good, but it was like, okay, he's not totally like, like it was a very nice creative through ball that instantly caused problems for Seattle. So hopefully we get to see more of him, especially given how short of a stint we were supposed to have of him. So we'll see where that heads. I think Seattle, again, they're managing the CONCACAF stuff. This
Mm-hmm.
was a little bit rotated from them. And I think that's the one struggle you get with, like, Minnesota kind of reverted back to Minnesota of old in this game, sat back a little bit more, allowed Seattle to walk right up and to about 30 yards in. And they just couldn't kind of break that low block too often. So I think if you have guys like Ferreira starting, when you got Jordan Morris that got back in the fold in this one, by the way, got a few minutes off the bench. But you start getting some of your preferred options. A little bit more talent there to kind of break people down on a one-on-one basis and make a little bit more happen for Seattle, and that just wasn't the case in this game. So
Mm-hmm.
this was a game that happened in MLS history.
Totally. Let's move on to the next one here. Portland at home versus LA Galaxy. Portland go up early, get a Kamal Miller red card immediately after in the 20th minute. LA Galaxy score Jao Klaus again soon after, and you just think they're going to take control of this one and get all 3 points. No, Portland holds on for 70 plus minutes to get a point out of this game somehow. I saw a bunch of LA Galaxy fans super disappointed on social media, and I mean rightfully so. You've got to get all 3 points in that game when you're up a man for that long, and super disappointing from their standpoint. Portland, I think you're gonna be happy that you got a point after what happened. Uh, you're gonna be frustrated that you were put in that spot in the first place because they looked really good early when they had all 11 guys in the field. So it is tough pills to swallow for both sides, but I think Portland's gonna be the happier side of this one holding on for that long and be impressed with the defense to do so.
Yeah, I think so, especially in front of your home fans who I think have gotten a little bit testy with Phil Neville. Yeah, I mean, his seat's been somewhat warm, but I understand the frustration from a Galaxy fan. But you're on the road. Grander scheme of things, if I told a Galaxy fan they were getting a point at Portland, I think they'd be somewhat content. And I mean, it's not the way this one played out, unfortunately. Peck, I think we're just it's so hard to keep him running right now. But they're finding other ways to feed Klaus, which I think is a good thing, especially for Klaus. But I mean, a creative Marco Royce backheel assist in the box to Klaus was a fun one to watch. And I think the main thing though is that they have to not only prove to other people but to themselves that like they can't rely on winger play. Like we've just seen so much absence from Paintsville and Peck, and when things are going great for them, they're going really great. But it's so hard to get those stars to align anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, it's okay. How do we get goals? How do we make things happen with what we got? And honestly, getting something on the score sheet out of Marco Royce is a great start for that too. So that's where they're at from a Galaxy side. From a Portland side, it's just like, man, give me a game where there's not a red card or something like craziness so I can get a read on you guys. And they will persist. They are just chaos merchants.
Yeah, it's I don't know. These two teams, I have them both of them pretty far down in my Western Conference like standings right now in terms of like power ranking. I don't think either of these teams are much to be spoken of at the moment, and I think there's a lot of teams who have elevated their game over these teams in the Western Conference. So I think they both have a lot to prove still. One of those teams we're talking about this next game, Tony, San Diego is not that team they've been up there against RSL though, and they draw 2-2 at home. A super fun game, a game we pointed out that was going to be one of probably the more
Yeah.
entertaining games, and that lived up to the hype. I mean, I can't even like begin to talk about how impressed I am. This is another train we've been pushing on this podcast is the RSL train.
I'll captain that train.
I am so impressed with how they've looked offensively, and they are going to be the ones that come out of this game thinking they probably could have gotten more out of it. And it's crazy because Diego Luna really hasn't even featured much for them yet. I mean, he
Yeah.
subbed on halftime, I think, in this one,
Mm-hmm.
and they still just look so good. Like it, the way they're playing on the front foot, especially against a team like San Diego who wants to do the exact same thing, they looked like the team that wanted it more in terms of like controlling the ball. And I think that we keep saying it. It's this is what you expected from some of these signings, and it's really panning out now. And you're seeing it, and it's fun to watch. They're a young team, a lot of new faces, and it's clicking right now. And you've got to, it's like San Jose. You just got to be impressed. And when I say that those other teams we just talked about are a step below, it's because I'm thinking of these two RSL. I'm thinking of Houston. I'm thinking of Dallas. Like all of those teams in my mind are playing better. San Jose is also one of them.
Mm.
Are playing better than these teams at the moment, and I would pick them against those other two teams any given night. And I think it's all because those teams' attack right now are way more dynamic than Portland and LA Galaxies, and RSL is living that, and they're gonna be happy to get a point on the road in San Diego. It's a tough place to go win, and San Diego, of course, are gonna be a little disappointing because they give up the lead late, and I think that they're also going to tell themselves they could have gotten more out of it, and if they played better defensively, they would have. But RSL gets that late goal, they get the point on the road, and continue their form early on this season.
Yeah, I mean, San Diego's greatest strength and simultaneously their biggest flaw is that they're going to play their style, right?
Yeah,
And it doesn't matter what the score line says, they're going to keep doing what they do. And I think that really came into play here. Like I think like I agree with you. I think for San Diego they should be somewhat happy with the point, the way this shook out. I mean, right before the Dryer goal, there was two really big RSL chances that should have been made, and just were skied. And I mean, you look at their shots and stuff. I mean, they had great opportunities and three good opportunities. Only scored once out of all of those RSL. So had plenty of chances to break San Diego, get that third goal, the go-ahead goal, and it just wasn't there. And San Diego kind of playing with their food a little bit, and certainly also had their moments. Like it was a fun back and forth. Like it felt like each team was just taking their turn, saying, "Okay, we're gonna land a few blows. All right, now we're gonna land a few blows," and like that's what made it for a really entertaining game. But I think RSL almost looked like the better team. And you can also say that there were two non PK calls in this one too, that could have given San Diego
Mm-hmm.
two spot looks there. So lots of different directions you can take this one. My final stat with this, I meant to look this up, but I didn't. But I want to know how many times somebody has gotten a red card in back-to-back games because Chris McVeigh, between CONCACAF and Toluca, and then here in this game, got red cards in both of those games with separate competitions. So
What do you think the locker room's saying to him right now? Like, do you think they're like, dude, what the like, chill the
yeah,
hell out?
and I think they were both double yellows too. I don't know that for sure about the CONCACAF one, but like it's just like, man, you're getting involved.
Feisty.
You're right, but that's a fun little quirk there. I know one thing for sure: he will not be playing for a while. Combined with the
Yes. Nice
international
little break
break,
here.
sorry,
Yeah.
Chris McVeigh fans, you're gonna have
Yeah.
to wait.
Go on a nice vacation. Just
Yeah,
go
that's
and
right.
really enjoy
Take some
yourself.
time off. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's going to do it for our MLS coverage this week, and that was a lot of fun. It was a great week. I love the warm weather. We enjoyed it here in Cincinnati. A lot of teams enjoyed it this week. Hopefully, we can continue that here in April. Get some nice weather for these games. But international duty, so there's not MLS games this upcoming week. So be aware of that. Factor it in. USA plays 3:30 on Saturday. I think is the first game against Belgium. So be on the lookout for that game. But let's get into our power rankings here, Tony. The official, welcome to the official Week 5 PJ MLS Power Rankings. And I'm liking my list this week.
Mm,
I don't know if you're going to like it,
a
but I
little more
like it.
clean cut. I'm
Eh,
ready to poke holes.
you be ready. Be ready. Let me pull up the screen here. Okay, can you see it?
Yep.
Well, let's get into it here. Number 10, I think I don't know. I think you're gonna like this one. I think you're gonna like it. I have the Colorado Rapids, Tony.
Oh, okay. All
Yeah.
right.
Here we
All
go.
right.
Aside 3 wins on the year already, 2 losses coming off a dominant win against SKC. I know it's SKC. I'm still impressed. If we get this version of Paxton Aronson going forward, I'm loving what Colorado can do this year. And I'm not saying that they're going to be hosting a home playoff game by any means, but I think they can be in that playoff scenario. And I would take them over teams like Portland and LA Galaxy right now. Like I believe in what they're doing more than those teams at the current moment. So I'm going to go Colorado, a team that could very easily drop off this top 10 next week. I'm not going to act like they're going to stay there forever, but I like what they're doing. And I like what Matt Wells is doing, and I believe in it to an extent. I think their attack is for real. I don't know about the defense, but the attack for me is for real and what's got them in the 10th spot for this week, for week 5.
I'm we'll wait and see who you've put above them before we start poking holes. But I mean, you are right to say that you should like take them over the Galaxy in Portland because those are their two other wins, and so that's all fair. Sporting Kansas City, I have to give a little bit of credit. We mentioned in the podcast, like, hey, good teams put away bad teams like this, and so when you see an opportunity like Sporting Kansas City on your calendar, you got to take it, and they certainly did. So. But I'll leave the whole poking for a few more picks here. Let's see who you put at 9.
Yes, yes. At 9 here, a team that didn't have a great week, but I can't drop them too much because of rotational squad, things like that. I have the Seattle Sounders at 9. They've been up and down. I mean, it's not been like perfect this season, but like I said, they're battling 2 competitions. We know how Seattle values multiple competitions. They've looked fine in MLS play. Get a point on the road against Minnesota, and I don't think you can drop them too much. I had them in a similar spot ish last week, and felt like I didn't need to drop them too many spots based on that performance and who they had out there.
Yeah, I think that's fair. That was a get or done draw. So
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
road too.
Okay, number 8 spot. This is where I
Here
think you might
this is
you might be a little hesitant in what I'm doing here. I have NYCFC.
Huh.
I
Okay.
think they're coming off a loss, but I think going into this game, of course, they had not lost this year. I think they were 3-1-0 before that. So they've looked well this year. I mean, you run into Miami, things can happen, especially the my pissed off Miami squad. So I'm not gonna dock them too much. I had them up higher in our standings last week, and I think this is a fair drop off. I think they didn't win at home, but it was against one of the top teams in the league. So I'm gonna leave them at the number 8 spot.
Yeah, I'd take them over Seattle. I think that's fair. They're both New York and Seattle sitting on 10 points, but New York's got a better goal differential. And, losing to Miami in controversial fashion, they could have even more points. Believe they're still in first in the West. So in some ways, maybe that's a little bit low, but
First in the East, you mean?
or sorry, first in the East,
Yes.
but,
They're not. They're not. Nashville is a team that exists.
oh,
So,
yeah, Nashville does exist and they're your one seed. So go ahead, continue on.
number 7 here, a team that we're pushing right now, Tony, and that's RSL.
Mm,
I love this team, and
yeah.
I don't think you're gonna be mad about this ranking either because they didn't win, but they did go into San Diego, a team that is sneak peek going to be higher than them on these standings. I think what they're building is real, and I think that this attack is real. And I think as Diego Luna gets more involved in this team, you could see them continue to firm up a spot in this top 10 rankings because of that attack.
I think that's fair. I always do the hold up. Like if seven played eight, seven should win, right? And
Yep.
I think that's true in this case. Like I really would expect like neutral site RSL would probably beat New York City. First of all, that'd be a freaking good game.
Yeah. Well.
But second of all, like I think that's kind of the difference right now is that our RSL's doing like a lot more run at your face, punch you in the mouth kind of play. And New York City's a lot more based on moments. And they found their moments in Nico Fernandez, and things have been good. He's been a great stopgap for, missing a DP in Alonso Martinez. But I just, I think that there's more room to grow with this RSL team. More Diego Luna we can see, more DeAndre Yedlin we can see. And that's why I like this pick for RSL.
Yeah. Next team on my list here, Tony. We've got a little drop off here in the rankings. A team that's been up in that top 4, pretty top 5 consistently so far this season.
Hmm.
Got San Diego.
Wow.
I know. I because the next two are going to be
No
hilarious.
love. Yeah.
Um, this comes from a place. I think they've played well season. The past couple 2 games have not looked as good, and I think you could probably chalk it up to dual competitions, and that's played a factor. Lots of guys getting red cards left and right for this team. Just kind of a weird vibe around that. Um, the attack hasn't looked as great as you've come to expect the last few games, and the defense clearly has holes. And I think that they're just going to be more prone to some upsets here this season. In my personal opinion, I don't think they've technically lost yet this year, but they have been more vulnerable to other teams scoring on them, and I don't think that's going to go away anytime soon. I just think I look at this team, Tony, and I legitimately like look at it and I go, imagine this team had another DP that was actually playing on this team. Like,
Yeah.
imagine if they had a Chucky Lozano type player playing that had a better attitude, and think about how good this team could be. And I think that's how I'm going to feel until they do it. So I'm interested to see how that gets resolved eventually. I just think right now, the way that they've looked the past 2 weeks, I'm going to keep them in that 6th spot. Still super high, still really good. Just I don't think in quite the sphere that I view these other top 5 teams coming off this past week.
Yeah, I think San Diego's an interesting one. Like my initial gut was that was too low, and then I look at so they've got 3 wins and 2 draws. Their 3 wins are Charmin soft because
Yep.
it's Sporting Kansas City, it's St. Louis, and I'm already missing the last one.
Is it
Who was the
Montreal?
last one? Montreal,
Yeah.
5-0.
Yeah.
Then they begin kind of intermixing the CONCACAF stuff. So I mean, Toluca is no one to sneeze at. Obviously, they're probably the best team in Mexico at the moment. And then in the midst of that, they also managed a road draw at Dallas, who I rate. And I think that that's going to be one of the holes I poke in yours once you finish out here is that I think
Mm-hmm.
Dallas needs to be on this board. And then, another draw against the RSL team who is on this board. So stiffer competition, holding their own. Sure, it's not wins, but I mean, you talk about their defense letting in goals. I mean, they've only let in 5 goals this season. I don't know where that ranks them, but I'm sure that's kind of like upper third of the league. They're still doing really well. So I tend to think that this one's a little bit harsh. We'll see who else you put up here next.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the next team is gonna. It's my train. It's San Jose. So I have San Jose at fifth. I just don't think you
Yeah,
can argue this past result. I don't think that's harsh either. Like you look at the actual standings, they're higher than San Diego. Like they've
by
got
one
more
point.
points this season, and the their goal differential is hilarious, by the way, because you look at it and like San Diego's 13 goals to five allowed,
Yeah,
and they're only scored 7 goals, but they've only allowed 1 goal, and that's been the shocking part about San Jose. I think they need to score more, of course, to stay in this top 10. Like they just do. You need to see more from Timo Werner, who only played half of this past game, and I'm interested to see what they can do with the DP slot eventually at some point, but as of right now, dude, they're getting results, and they had their first test against one of teams in the top four, sneak peek as well, and they passed. Like they got it done, and I think that's no joke, and you've got to take that serious to get that done the road in Vancouver. I know they're rotated, but still, like that team's good enough to still beat this team at home with a rotated squad. So. I just love what they're doing. We'll see if it lasts, but as of right now, I don't think you can argue what they've done so far this season.
I think you can. Um,
Well,
I
I
mean,
disagree.
well, I mean, like they've still been good. Take me wrong. I think that they're probably 3 or 4 spots too high. Um, they started out 3 for 3, and that was also Charmin soft. I mean, that was against that was against Sporting Kansas City, Atlanta United, and Philly were the first three. So like right off the gate. Then they host Seattle, who was rotated for CONCACAF and lost at home. And then after that, yes, they have that impressive win at Vancouver. Again, rotated Vancouver team because of CONCACAF. So, there's some layers to that. But I just think that while their resume is good, I think that I'm still looking for that quad one win. You know what I mean? Um,
March
I
Madness
just
talk here.
exactly right. I just
How's that not
don't.
a quad one win though?
Um, well, I guess maybe
You
that's
used to be
just
the
not the
top three
best.
league in the
It's not the
top
best.
three team in the league.
I mean, it's not the best. I guess analogy because
You're on the
like
road.
that was like playing a quad one team when you're playing like the subs and walk
Yeah, but they
ons.
still came in
So
the game. I don't think you can take too much away from them in that. You're on the road. You're playing in
I'm not
Vancouver.
trying to take everything
You're
from
playing
them.
on
Like that
turf.
game happened, but I just
Hey,
think they're a
you
little
can be a
high.
hater. San Jose, I stand for you. You're a
I'm
top
not a
five team in
hater,
my heart.
but RSL train for sure.
Okay, well let's go on to the next one here, and that's where I'm gonna slot in Inter Miami. I they're gonna keep rising. Like you just know this team's gonna do it. The Bertarame thing is weird for me. I still don't know what to make of this signing so far. I mean, I know what to say. It's not been great, and but Messi's still gonna be Messi. They're still gonna score goals, and now that they're out of this other competition, we've talked about it. I think they're just going to start attacking this league play with full strength squads, and I think that's a negative to them getting bounced early for the rest of the MLS is that you're going to be playing a pissed off full strength Miami, and I think that they're just going to continue on and be a favorite to win almost every competition going forward still, and it will be interesting to watch to see how they start to mesh some of these guys because so far it hasn't worked
Yeah, I think
to Miami
it.
expectations. I guess I'll
Sure, sure,
put an
yeah, yeah.
asterisk there.
Correct. And I think that it's going to be pretty one track mind for them now. Um, they're going to be a dangerous team. They're pissed off. We saw that even in this one. I mean, they looked not their best, but definitely probably I'd go out on a limb and say the best that they've looked so far this season. And that was benching Bertrame, which again has its own problems. But I think that at least for when I'm looking at power rankings, I'm thinking about just what they're going to field and how they're going to play. If that's Bertrame or it's not. it's still freaking messy. They didn't even have Rodrigo DePaul in this game either, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
He was out celebrating at a concert or something. But no, they're still obviously a really good team. I think that it's going to be really hard to bump them kind of from this top bucket. Every week when we do this, there's pretty clear line as far as who's the upper echelon, the S tier folks. It's going to be really, really hard to get them out of this, and unless we're proven otherwise by like a huge string of like bad results from them.
Yeah, totally. I think this is a fair spot, and I'm sure they'll continue to rise. So just be ready for it. Okay, number three team here, Tony. The former number one from last week, Vancouver Whitecaps. They have that loss against San Jose. Like you pointed out, they were rotated to a degree. The guys did sub on eventually, and they're playing midweek. But I still got to drop them. They got to drop from the number one spot because of that loss. And I think it's fair. I mean, they're still a very good team. Still their first loss of the season. They're going to be fine. I just think that they are split in their competitions right now. And I think although I would like to give San Jose a ton of credit out of that game, I think you can say from a Vancouver fan perspective what you're saying about the win for San Jose, and I think you can make that twist. So I understand it, but I still think it's still the loss still needs to count, and that's why they're being dropped here in the standings.
So let me ask you this: how hard was it for you to put Vancouver over Miami?
Um, it honestly wasn't hard, like super hard. I
Hmm.
think next week I could see it happening, but I just still need to value what's gone on in the regular season for so far, and you still haven't seen Miami's best. Like they haven't, besides the Orlando win. Like even then, like that was a comeback. Like you haven't seen them blow anybody out yet, and you haven't seen their best offensively. I mean, I think their goals allowed to goals conceded is 9-8 right now. Like they're not playing extraordinary like some of these other top teams. So I think as of right now, I still feel fine about where these standings are. But like I said, if Miami continues to win and start showing the best version of themselves, I'm not going to hesitate. Like I can easily pass these, put them ahead of some of these teams.
Yeah, that's the part that I'm like, oh man, again, if these two played, I'm not sure who ends up on top.
I
Clearly,
actually think
Vancouver's.
Vancouver does right now.
You
I
think
really
so?
do. A full strength Vancouver. Like I mean, this wasn't a full strength Vancouver going full 90. I got they've looked really good, and Miami hasn't looked good at any point like this season. I'm saying, and I say really like they
Yeah,
haven't put together a total performance yet, like a full 90 performance.
for
And
sure.
even
There's
this last week,
levels.
they went down 2-1. Like they had to come back again. So I think Vancouver right now in head to head, I would probably pick them on a neutral site. Hypothetically, I'd feel good about
Hypothetically, okay.
Vancouver. Yeah,
I, I don't know. Like I have a hard time envisioning it. Like I think it makes sense. There's just this is kind of the vibe feel of it. Like obviously, like Miami scored 9, allowed 8 this season. Vancouver scored 14, allowed 2. Like clearly,
mm-hmm.
there's different levels between the two at the moment, right? And Vancouver in a tougher Western Conference, and I think we can kind of call both being in Concacaf a wash, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like that part levels itself, and like Vancouver's doing this. Like I mean, they're one RSL's one losses to Vancouver, and you know how I feel about RSL.
Yep.
Actually, here's what we should do: Vancouver number one, RSL number two. That's what we need to be doing. But no, so there's clearly levels to it. It's just that last kind of test for me, like what would happen if those two played, and I think that, and again, we just saw it. It was a fun MLS Cup final. Um, Man, that'd be close.
Yeah. Totally. Well, let's get number two, number one here, Tony. Number two, LAFC. So we're gonna have a new number one this week, new team that hasn't been there. But to touch on LAFC first, it's been a downward trend, but not like in a full like negative way. They just like the offense isn't fully clicking, and we talked about it on our podcast that you've listened to. The Sun and Buanga have kind of slowed down now. They're not really scoring goals, and when they're not scoring goals, they're not going to dominate teams. And that's the reality of how it's looked the past couple weeks. Yes, they still haven't lost. They drew this week 0-0. And I just think you expect more from this offense, and especially an MVP type guy like in either Bouanga or Son, where you're expecting them to put up numbers, and they just haven't been lately. And I think there's a feeling out period going on right now of like who they want to be. Now that defense still has a lot of goal, Tony. So that's looking great, and that's why you can't move them outside of the top two, in my opinion, right now. They've been that good defensively. So I have them at two, more so because of the number one team and how great they have looked. But right now, LAFC at two. I mean, do you have any qualms with that? I feel like that's pretty fair.
No, I don't think so, but I do think that it's worth mentioning that that defensive stat is the real deal. I mean,
Yeah.
that's against Inter Miami, didn't allow a goal. Against Houston Dynamo, didn't allow a goal. Against FC Dallas, didn't allow a goal. Like these are scoring teams. St. Louis and Austin are the other ones, so that cools off a little bit. But it's not like that they've played, all the terrible offensive teams. Like they're playing some real strikers, some real offenses. And I think that is like while their defense is really good, I think that their offense has kind of dropped the ball a little bit to put them all the way at the top. Just when your main characters aren't doing what they're doing. I mean, there was a period last summer where it was like Sun and Boanga had scored like 15 of 16 goals that LAFC put in. And for both of them to go quiet like that, and we're not seeing many goals, um, that's the that's the problem right now. That you can't really trust them at the top of a power rankings if they're struggling to score.
Yep. Totally. And a team that's not having trouble to score, Tony, that is Nashville, who's going to be sitting number one in our power rankings this week. I don't think anyone's going to argue this. I think this is a team offensively that is just on another level than every other team right now. And their defense has played well too. Like they've been no slouch defensively, and I think it's one of the more impressive um, starts of seasons we've seen in a while, especially with a team who's playing multiple competitions. And in that other competition, they just took down Inter Miami. So it's impressive what they're doing. And the Christian Espinosa signing has been a home run. You have Sam Surridge scoring a hat trick this past week on top of the two other goals the team scored. So you've got to be impressed with how Nashville's looked so far this season.
Absolutely. I mean, they're certainly the scariest, best team at the moment. Their only drop points were on the road to Dallas, which again, I rate Dallas pretty highly. And now seeing the full shape of things, I think they probably should have bumped off Colorado at number 10 for me. Maybe an honorable mention shout to Houston. I know that you look at the Supporters Shield standings and they're down at 17th, but they've also played one less game, and that game would have been against New England. So there's a potential that they would have jumped all the way to 10th if they had 3 more points. So I think that there's an honorable mention shout for them, but that's my biggest hole to poke because I think FC Dallas is a really firm team, like a lot of what we saw, except for 5 minutes of last weekend's game. And but anyways, pointing back the attention to Nashville, they're certainly the best team. They're the train to beat at the moment, and it just feels like that thing's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, sometimes you come into a year, and I mean, everyone is very high in Nashville coming this year, naturally,
Yeah.
because of Espinosa signing. Sometimes those teams don't always like look immediately this like as great as everyone hypes them up to be. They've just done it even more so than people hyped them up to be, and I think that's what's impressive is they came in with expectations and they've delivered on those expectations early. We'll see. Of course, we're 5 weeks in. They're still in another competition, so we'll see how that affects them long term in terms of like their legs and guys being tired. So, and the rotated squads could affect their league play to a degree. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. But right now, they're sitting on top of the MLS standings, Tony, in real life as well, and they're on top of my power ranking standings here. So credit to Nashville. Credit to all these top 10 teams. I totally get the FC Dallas shout. I totally get it. I think you can just say
Snubbed.
to a degree like you can be okay. These teams are kind of interchangeable in that 10 spot. There's a couple teams you can give some attention to, and I think Dallas is probably one of those honorable mentions where you've got to say they could easily be in that 10 spot for me as well.
Yeah. Well, sorry, FC Dallas fans. We'll get them next time. I think what Dallas's next game is against DC United. You better win that, or else there could be some problems. But if you win that, I think you're looking pretty good
Yep.
to get in.
Yep. we'll see how it all plays out. Maybe Colorado will score 4 goals again, and then I may have a little gripe with that one still.
Well, it'll be a red card probably. So then on.
Okay, well, that's going to do it from our power rankings here. If you're listening to this on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe and comment in the section if we dropped anybody that you thought we should have included, like FC Dallas. So we appreciate all the love there. And then we'll conclude here as well with the episode of the podcast and say thank you for listening. If you're on Spotify, YouTube, wherever you're viewing this, feel free to like, subscribe, follow for more content like this. Got a ton of Team USA content coming up. We've got a ton of interactive games, things like that. We're going to involve into our podcast here to fill some time, and we want you guys to be a part of it. Have fun with it. Be a part of maybe the possible trivia and things like that that are coming with the World Cup. And with that being said, we will see you guys on Friday with a Team USA preview versus Belgium.
See ya.